late afternoon sun cast long, golden shadows over the cobblestone streets of Eldermoor, a city known as much for its sprawling canals as for the ancient secrets it kept buried beneath its tranquil facade. The air smelled faintly of damp earth and old parchment, weaving through narrow alleys like a whispered legend waiting to be told. At the heart of Eldermoor stood the Whispering Library, an enormous stone building wrapped in ivy and mystery. Though centuries old, the library was alive with a quiet energy, as if the walls themselves remembered every word ever read within. Tonight, the library was to host an exclusive piano recital, a rare event whispered about in the city's cafes and taverns. Invitations were scarce, and only a chosen few had received one. Among them was Eleanor Vale, a young woman with an insatiable curiosity and a heart full of wanderlust. Eleanor held the delicate invitation card tightly in her hand as she approached the library's massive oak doors. The card was embossed with silver filigree and bore the library's crest, an open book with a key resting atop its pages. The letter inside promised an evening of music, mystery, and perhaps, discovery. As she stepped onto the ancient stone steps leading up to the entrance, a cool breeze rustled the ivy above, carrying the scent of aged paper and distant rain. Eleanor's heart quickened. She had heard stories about this place, how some claimed the library was a gateway to forgotten worlds, where knowledge whispered through the corridors like ghosts. The heavy doors groaned as they opened, revealing a grand foyer lit by flickering candle sconces. Marble floors gleamed beneath her feet, polished smooth by countless visitors over centuries. The air was cool but inviting, filled with the faint hum of anticipation. From the shadows emerged a man dressed in a tailored dark suit, his silver hair catching the candle light. His eyes, a piercing shade of blue, held a calm authority. "Welcome, Miss Vale," he said, his voice smooth as velvet. "I am Mr. Thaddeus Gray, curator of the Whispering Library. We're honored by your presence tonight." Eleanor inclined her head politely. "Thank you, Mr. Gray. I'm honored to be here." He gestured toward a sweeping staircase leading upward. "Please, allow me to show you to the recital hall. But feel free to explore the library before the performance begins. Many find inspiration in its quiet corners." As Eleanor ascended the stairs, her footsteps echoing softly, she caught glimpses of the library's treasures, towering shelves packed with leather-bound tomes, ornate busts of philosophers and poets, and paintings that seemed almost to watch her. Reaching the upper floor, she stepped into the recital hall, a vast chamber with high ceilings, where rows of velvet upholstered chairs awaited. At the far end stood a majestic grand piano, its ebony surface gleaming beneath the glow of chandeliers. She noticed a few other guests settling into their seats, murmuring softly in elegant tones. Among them, a young man with dark curls and thoughtful eyes caught her attention. Their gazes met briefly, and he offered a polite nod before returning to his place. Eleanor took her seat near the middle, her senses drinking in the atmosphere, the rich scent of polished wood, the faint rustle of programs being opened, the quiet thrill before the music began. Just then, footsteps approached the stage. A woman appeared, dressed in a flowing midnight blue gown. Her fingers were delicate yet confident as she seated herself at the piano bench. The room fell into expectant silence. The pianist's hands hovered over the keys for a heartbeat before plunging into the opening notes, a melody at once haunting and hopeful, weaving through the air like a whispered story. As Eleanor closed her eyes, the music carried her away, deeper into the heart of the whispering library. She felt as though the notes themselves held secrets, tales of forgotten realms, hidden knowledge, and the timeless dance between light and shadow. Unbeknownst to her, this night would mark the beginning of a journey that would unravel mysteries beyond imagination and challenge everything she thought she knew about reality. The final note lingered in the air, trembling like a delicate breath held between worlds. The audience sat enraptured for a moment longer before applause rippled through the room, gentle but sincere. Eleanor opened her eyes slowly, the music still echoing softly in her mind, like a dream she couldn't quite shake. As the pianist rose and bowed gracefully, Eleanor felt a strange pull, an almost imperceptible tug at the edges of her awareness. The music had seemed to awaken something deep within her, something both thrilling and unnerving. She glanced around the hall. The other guests were beginning to rise, chatting quietly as they prepared to leave or mingle. Eleanor's gaze returned to the pianist, whose eyes briefly met hers with a flicker of knowing. Curiosity sparked inside Eleanor. There was more here than a simple recital, she could feel it. She rose and stepped down from her seat, weaving through the crowd. Approaching the stage, Eleanor hesitated for a moment before the pianist smiled and gestured warmly. "Do you enjoy the music?" the woman asked softly. "Very much," Eleanor replied. It felt like the music was telling a story. Something more than just notes. The pianist nodded, her gaze thoughtful. Music, like knowledge, can unlock doors some meant to remain closed, others waiting to be discovered. Before Eleanor could ask more, a low murmur stirred near the back of the hall. Turning, she saw the dark-haired young man from before engaged in animated conversation with Mr. Gray, the curator. Their voices were hushed but urgent. Eleanor's instincts told her she should listen. As she stepped closer, a phrase caught her ear: the hidden chamber, and then, the map within the music. Her heart quickened. After the crowd dispersed, Eleanor found herself alone near the grand piano. The pianist approached her again. "There is a place beneath this library," she said quietly, "a chamber sealed away for centuries. It is said to hold secrets that could change the world." Eleanor swallowed, captivated. The recital tonight was not merely a performance, the pianist continued. It was a key, a melody encoded with clues. "But why me?" Eleanor asked. "Because you heard it," the pianist replied. "And because your heart is open to the whispers of the past." Suddenly, footsteps echoed from a nearby hallway. The dark-haired man appeared, extending his hand. "I'm Adrian Calloway," he said. "And if you want to uncover the truth, you'll need allies." Eleanor glanced between Adrian and the pianist, whose name she now learned was Serafina. An adventure was unfolding beneath the melodies, behind the velvet curtains, in the shadows of the whispering library. And Eleanor was ready to step beyond the threshold. The library had emptied quickly after the recital, the gentle chatter and soft footsteps fading into the quiet hum of the ancient building. But for Eleanor, the night was just beginning. Seraphina's words echoed in her mind, a hidden chamber beneath the library, a melody encoded with clues, an invitation to a secret world. Adrian led the way down a narrow corridor lined with dusty tomes and flickering lanterns. The walls seemed to close in, their stone cold and rough beneath Eleanor's fingertips. Every step felt heavier, laden with anticipation. "Not many know this path," Adrian whispered. "The chamber is sealed not just by stone, but by riddles, puzzles hidden in the music, and in the library itself." Eleanor's heart raced as they turned a corner, where an old mural depicted a grand piano surrounded by stars and winding rivers. The paint was faded, but the intricate details remained vivid. "See this?" Adrian pointed. "It's a map, but not like any you've seen. The stars represent notes, the rivers correspond to passages beneath the library." Seraphina stepped forward, tracing the lines with a slender finger. "The melody you heard. It follows this map. Each phrase corresponds to a note on this celestial scale. Play the notes in the right order, and the chamber's door will reveal itself." Eleanor felt a surge of excitement. So the recital was a code. Yes. "A song of unlocking," Seraphina said. "Many have tried to find this place, but only those who truly listen can hear the hidden message." Adrian stopped in front of a seemingly ordinary bookshelf. "Here is where the challenge begins." He pulled a thick volume from the shelf, its leather cover cracked with age. As he opened it, a panel behind the shelf slid quietly aside, revealing a narrow staircase descending into darkness. The air smelled of damp earth and old stone. Eleanor's breath caught in her throat. This was no ordinary basement, it was a gateway. With lanterns in hand, the trio descended. The stairs twisted deep into the earth, opening into a cavernous hall carved from ancient rock. Walls were inscribed with symbols that pulsed faintly with an otherworldly light, casting dancing shadows. In the center stood a grand organ, massive, ornate, and covered in dust. Its pipes reached toward the vaulted ceiling like silent sentinels. Seraphina approached the organ, her hands trembling slightly. "This is the heart of the chamber. Here, the true melody begins." Adrian's eyes gleamed. "And here, the real test awaits." Eleanor stepped closer, scanning the room. Along the walls were niches, each holding an artifact: a delicate music box, a silver lyre, a set of ancient flutes. These instruments, Seraphina explained, were used by the library's founders to protect their knowledge. Each holds a fragment of the melody. Only by playing them in the correct harmony can the chamber's secrets be unlocked. Eleanor's fingers brushed over the music box. As she opened it, a soft tune floated out, haunting, bittersweet. Adrian pointed to an inscription above the organ's keyboard, carved in an ancient tongue. It says, "Harmony reveals truth, discord hides it." The challenge was clear. They began to experiment, combining the tunes of the instruments with notes from the organ. At first, the sounds clashed, creating an uneasy tension in the air. Then, gradually, a pattern emerged, a subtle rhythm that resonated deep within the chamber. Suddenly, the walls trembled, and a section of the far wall slowly slid open, revealing a hidden alcove bathed in soft, golden light. Inside was a pedestal holding a small, intricately carved box, adorned with symbols matching those on the mural above. Serafina approached cautiously. "The final key," she whispered. Eleanor felt a thrill unlike any before. This box held the promise of answers to the mysteries of the Whispering Library, and perhaps, to secrets older than the city itself. But as her hand reached for the box, a sudden chill swept through the chamber. From the shadows emerged a figure cloaked in dark robes, face hidden beneath a deep hood. "You should not have come here," a voice intoned, echoing like a distant thunder. Adrian stepped forward, placing himself between Eleanor and the stranger. "Who are you?" The figure's eyes gleamed beneath the hood, cold and unforgiving. "A guardian. This knowledge is not for the faint of heart." Eleanor's heart pounded, but she stood firm. "We seek only to understand. To protect what has been lost." The guardian regarded them silently, then slowly nodded. "Very well," the voice said. "But know this: every truth uncovered demands a price." The chamber seemed to pulse with tension, the melody now entwined with fate. Eleanor, Serafina, and Adrian exchanged determined looks. They had crossed the threshold, and there was no turning back. The air in the hidden chamber grew thick, every breath feeling heavier, as if the very atmosphere bore witness to the ancient power lurking in the shadows. The robed guardian stepped forward, his eyes burning like cold embers beneath his hood. "You have awakened a legacy of the Whispering Library," he said solemnly. "But knowledge is not simply given, it is earned." Eleanor swallowed hard, feeling the weight of his words settle deep in her chest. She looked to Serafina and Adrian, who nodded in silent agreement. They were ready to face whatever challenge awaited. The guardian raised a hand, and the glowing symbols carved into the chamber walls flared to life, swirling and shifting like a living tapestry of light and sound. "A trial awaits," the guardian intoned. "One that will test your mind, your heart, and your resolve. Only those who prove themselves worthy may claim the secret sealed within." Suddenly, the chamber transformed. The walls melted away into a vast expanse of stars and swirling mists. Eleanor found herself standing alone on a narrow path suspended in cosmic darkness, the melody from the recital humming softly around her. A voice, soft, ethereal, and haunting, echoed from nowhere and everywhere. "To walk the path of wisdom, you must face the shadows within." From the darkness emerged visions, memories, and fears intertwined, fragments of Eleanor's own past she had long buried, moments of doubt, pain, and loss. With trembling hands, Eleanor reached out, confronting each vision with newfound courage. The melody grew stronger, a comforting presence guiding her through the labyrinth of her own soul. Meanwhile, Serafina and Adrian faced their own trials. Serafina's trial took the form of ancient riddles spoken by ghostly figures, the founders of the library themselves. Each riddle peeled back layers of history and magic, demanding clarity and insight. Adrian's challenge was a test of loyalty and sacrifice. Phantom shadows offered him power in exchange for betraying his companions. He resisted, fueled by a fierce dedication to protect the truth. Back in the chamber, the Guardian watched intently, his expression unreadable. Hours, or perhaps moments, passed as each of them wrestled with their inner trials. Finally, the path converged. Eleanor, Serafina, and Adrian found themselves reunited beneath a glowing archway, the entrance to the heart of the chamber. The Guardian spoke once more. "You have proven your worth. The knowledge you seek is not merely words or relics. It is the understanding that binds past to present, the music that connects all things." He gestured toward the pedestal where the carved box rested. Eleanor stepped forward, her fingers brushing the intricate carvings. As she lifted the lid, a soft light spilled forth, revealing a collection of ancient manuscripts, glowing softly with arcane energy. Among them lay a delicate, folded parchment, a map of forgotten realms, inked in a language both alien and familiar. "This," Serafina whispered, "is the true legacy of the Whispering Library." Adrian nodded. "And the beginning of a journey that will take us far beyond these walls." Eleanor looked around at her companions, feeling the weight of destiny settle upon her shoulders. The melody had led her here, but the symphony was just beginning. The glow from the ancient manuscripts bathed the chamber in a soft, golden light. Eleanor carefully unfolded the delicate parchment, revealing an intricately detailed map unlike any she had ever seen. It wasn't just a map of places, it was a map of realms, some hidden beyond the known world, some said to exist only in myth. The lines shimmered as if alive, shifting subtly beneath her gaze. Symbols danced along the edges, ancient glyphs that seemed to pulse with an energy all their own. Serafina leaned closer, her fingers tracing the glowing markings. "These realms, they're said to be where knowledge lost to time still lingers. Forgotten libraries, hidden sanctuaries, and the sources of arcane power." Adrian's eyes narrowed. "If this map is real, it could unlock secrets powerful enough to reshape everything we know or destroy it." Eleanor felt a thrill mixed with trepidation. "Then we need to understand it fully. Where do we begin?" Before anyone could answer, a sudden vibration hummed through the chamber. The manuscripts fluttered like leaves caught in an unseen breeze. A new melody whispered, softer and more urgent than before. From the shadows, the Guardian's voice spoke, calm but grave. "The map is alive. It responds to the melody, the harmony of your intent. To follow it, you must first awaken the instruments of the realms." "What instruments?" Eleanor asked, intrigued. The instruments are ancient relics scattered across Elder Moor, the Guardian explained. Each is attuned to a realm on the map. Only by finding and playing them can you open the gateways to those forgotten places. Seraphina's eyes lit with determination. Then our journey is clear. We seek the instruments and the truth behind the whispering library. Adrian nodded. But beware, others also covet this power. Shadows that lurk beyond the light will seek to stop you. Eleanor folded the map carefully, feeling its weight as a mantle of responsibility. Where do we start? She asked. The Guardian extended his hand, revealing a small, silver key etched with the same glyphs as the map. This will open the first gateway, he said. The path leads to the bell tower of Elder Moor, where the first instrument waits. The trio exchanged glances, anticipation and resolve burning in their eyes. As they stepped out of the chamber, the first hints of dawn brushed the horizon. The city stirred awake, unaware of the secret quest that had begun beneath its ancient stones. Outside, the canals shimmered in the early light, and Eleanor felt a whisper of melody carried on the breeze, a promise of the adventures to come. The morning mist hung low over Elder Moor's winding canals as Eleanor, Seraphina, and Adrian set out towards the bell tower, a soaring spire that loomed like a sentinel at the city's edge. The sun barely pierced through the haze, casting an eerie glow that made the ancient stones gleam like something alive. The bell tower has stood watch for centuries, Seraphina said quietly, her eyes scanning the horizon. It said the original Guardians placed the first instrument there to protect the city's heart. As they walked through narrow cobblestone streets, the city's usual bustle seemed strangely muted. Eleanor sensed they were being watched. Adrian glanced over his shoulder, his face taut with tension. We're not alone. Whoever the shadows are, they know we're after the instruments. Suddenly, from a nearby alley, a figure cloaked in black darted into view, swift and silent. Before Eleanor could react, the stranger tossed a folded note at her feet and vanished like a ghost. Eleanor unfolded the note with trembling hands. The words were brief but chilling. Turn back, or the music will be your last. A shiver ran down her spine. Seraphina's voice was steady but grim. They're serious. The path we've chosen is fraught with danger. They pressed on, determination steeling their nerves. Reaching the base of the bell tower, Eleanor gazed up at the towering structure, narrow, spiraling staircases winding upward, disappearing into the mist-shrouded heights. With the silver key clutched tightly, Adrian pushed open the heavy iron door. It creaked ominously, revealing a dim staircase worn by centuries of footsteps. Step by step, they ascended. The air grew colder, the silence thick. Occasionally, faint echoes of bells long silent seemed to reverberate around them, as if the tower itself whispered warnings. Halfway up, the staircase opened into a circular chamber where the walls were carved with intricate relief scenes of ancient ceremonies, celestial harmonies, and guardians playing mysterious instruments. Eleanor reached out, her fingers brushing the stone. Suddenly, The chamber hummed softly, a vibration that traveled up her arm like an electric pulse. From the shadows, a figure emerged, a woman with piercing green eyes and silver hair, her presence commanding yet ethereal. "I am Lyra, keeper of the bell tower," she said, her voice like a melody itself. "Many seek the instruments, but few understand the cost." Seraphina stepped forward. "We seek to awaken the instruments and unlock the map's secrets." Lyra studied them intently. "To claim the first instrument, you must prove your harmony not just with the music, but with each other." Without warning, the chamber transformed. Walls dissolved into swirling stars, and the trio found themselves standing on a floating platform high above the city, tethered only by their unity. Lyra's challenge was clear: they must perform a melody together, each contributing their unique part to unlock the instrument's resting place. Eleanor, Seraphina, and Adrian exchanged glances, then began to sing, their voices weaving into a haunting harmony that resonated through the cosmic space. As their song grew, the platform glowed, and a silver lyre materialized before them, shimmering with ancient power. But as Eleanor reached to grasp it, the shadowy figures from the alley appeared, dark wraiths intent on stopping them. A fierce battle erupted, the music clashing with shadow, light battling darkness in a symphony of power and will. Drawing strength from their bond and the melody, the trio pushed back the shadows, claiming the silver lyre as their prize. Lyra smiled knowingly. "You have passed the trial. But many remain, and the path only grows darker." Eleanor held the lyre close, feeling the weight of their quest settle like a second heartbeat. The journey had truly begun. The silver lyre pulsed softly in Eleanor's hands as the trio descended from the bell tower, their hearts still racing from the battle with the shadow wraiths. The city below was waking slowly, unaware of the dangers that lurked just beyond the morning fog. Seraphina's gaze was sharp. "This victory is only the beginning. Whoever those wraiths were, they're agents of something far darker." Adrian nodded grimly. "We need to find out who's orchestrating this and why." As they made their way through the labyrinthine streets, an unsettling feeling grew heavier in the air. The usual warmth of Eldermoor was replaced by whispers faint, elusive, like secrets brushing past their ears. Suddenly, a scream shattered the morning calm. They rushed toward the source, arriving at a narrow alley where a crowd had gathered. A young woman lay on the ground, eyes wide with terror, pointing shakily toward the shadows. "I saw them," she gasped. Figures cloaked in black, chanting in a language I couldn't understand. They took something from the old chapel." The mention of the chapel sent a chill through Eleanor. The chapel was one of the oldest places in Eldermoor, rumored to hide one of the instruments. Without hesitation, the trio set off, weaving through the winding streets toward the chapel's forgotten gates, half swallowed by creeping vines and neglect. Inside, the air was thick with dust and unease. Moonlight filtered through stained glass, casting fractured colors onto cracked stone floors. Suddenly, from the shadows emerged a figure cloaked in deep crimson robes, face hidden behind an ornate mask shaped like a raven's beak. You trespass where the unworthy perish, the figure intoned, voice echoing with unnatural resonance. Serafina stepped forward, eyes blazing. We seek the instrument. Step aside. The masked figure laughed, a chilling sound that rippled through the chapel. Many have tried, and all have failed. Your harmony is fragile, your resolve untested. But perhaps, you will be the first to dance with the darkness. With a sudden wave, shadow tendrils burst forth, enveloping the trio in cold, suffocating grasp. Eleanor felt herself pulled toward a swirling vortex of darkness, memories flashing before her eyes, moments of joy, pain, fear, all threatening to tear her apart. But deep within, the silver lyre glowed fiercely, its light pushing back the shadows. Eleanor closed her eyes and began to play a silent melody in her mind, one that wove strength and hope into every note. Slowly, the darkness receded. The chapel's walls trembled as the masked figure's form flickered, revealing a withered hand clutching a cracked amulet. Your light is strong, the figure whispered, retreating into the shadows. Adrian bent down, retrieving a small, ancient harp resting atop a stone altar, the chapel's lost instrument. Serafina exhaled, relief washing over her. One step closer. Eleanor looked to her companions, determination hardening her features. This is only the beginning. The shadows grow bolder, and so must we. The ancient harp felt warm in Eleanor's hands, its strings humming faintly as if alive, resonating with the energy of the silver lyre. The chapel's shadows still clung to the corners, whispering warnings, but the trio knew they could not linger. We must move quickly, Adrian urged, eyes scanning the crumbling walls. The forces opposing us will regroup. Serafina nodded, unrolling a fragment of the glowing map. According to this, the next instrument lies beyond the obsidian gate, a place said to be sealed by time and magic. The streets of Eldermoor seemed darker now, the fog thickening like a shroud. Every alley and archway whispered secrets, and the air crackled with unseen tension. As they approached the city's edge, a sudden chill swept over them. From the mist, ghostly figures emerged, remnants of past seekers who had fallen to the darkness, their hollow eyes pleading for release. Eleanor's heart clenched. They're trapped souls. Victims of the curse. Serafina reached out, her voice steady. We have to free them and prove ourselves worthy. Adrian drew a dagger etched with runes, its blade shimmering. Let's prepare. This won't be easy. Together, they stepped through the spectral crowd, chanting an ancient lullaby learned from the library's manuscripts. The melody wove through the air, soothing the lost souls, untangling the curse binding them. The spirit slowly dissipated, leaving behind a path of shimmering light leading to the obsidian gate, a massive archway carved from black stone, covered in glowing runes that pulsed ominously. Eleanor approached, placing the silver lyre and harp against the gate. As their melodies intertwined, the runes flared, and the gate began to tremble, cracking open to reveal a passage descending into darkness. With lanterns lit and courage gathered, they entered. The tunnel twisted and turned, walls lined with ancient symbols and murals depicting the library's founders battling shadowy forces. The air smelled of earth and forgotten memories. At the passage's end, a vast chamber opened, its floor covered with black obsidian tiles that reflected the flickering lantern light like a dark sea. In the chamber's center floated a crystalline orb, glowing with inner fire, the third instrument, the crystal voice. As Eleanor reached out, the orb pulsed, releasing a piercing note that shattered the silence. From the shadows, a figure stepped forward, this time a man, regal yet cold, eyes like molten silver. "I am Malachi, keeper of the Obsidian Gate," he announced. "Many have come for the instruments, but few understand the burden they carry." He raised his hand, summoning shadowy tendrils that coiled around the orb, threatening to drag it into darkness. Eleanor, Seraphina, and Adrian braced themselves, ready to defend their prize. Malachi's voice was a whisper and a roar. "To claim the crystal voice, you must harmonize with your deepest fears, face what lies hidden in your souls." The chamber darkened, and each of them was plunged into visions, fragments of their past mistakes, regrets, and secrets. Eleanor found herself reliving the moment she abandoned a dear friend years ago, the weight of guilt nearly crushing her spirit. Seraphina faced memories of betrayal, and Adrian wrestled with the promise broken long ago. But together, their harmonies rose not as isolated notes, but as a powerful symphony of acceptance, forgiveness, and hope. The orb glowed brighter, the shadows recoiling. Malachi bowed his head. "You have passed the trial. The crystal voice is yours." With the orb safely in their possession, the trio felt a surge of strength and purpose. But Eleanor knew their journey was far from over. Darker shadows awaited, and the melody of destiny was only beginning to crescendo. As the crystalline orb pulsed with radiant energy in Eleanor's hands, the air around them seemed to shimmer, as if reality itself were bending. The obsidian gate chamber vibrated faintly, a soft hum echoing through the vast darkness. Though triumphant, the trio could feel the weight of the journey pressing down upon their shoulders. Each new instrument awakened seemed to pull them deeper into an ancient conflict stretching beyond time and space. Adrian's voice broke the silence, low but urgent. "We've come far, but the hardest trials are still ahead. The map shows the next realm lies beyond the veil, the boundary between our world and the unknown." Seraphina nodded, eyes fixed on the glowing map fragment, her fingers tracing the shifting lines that connected realms like strands of a cosmic web. "The veil is said to be a fragile boundary where reality thins, and spirits from forgotten times wander freely. Passing through it will demand more than skill, it will demand our hearts to be steadfast." Eleanor swallowed, feeling a mix of anticipation and apprehension. The melody, the song that had first guided them here, now seemed to pulse within her chest, urging her forward despite the shadows lurking ahead. The trio exited the bell tower and made their way through Eldermoor's awakening streets, the city alive with a quiet bustle but oblivious to the ancient forces stirring beneath. As they approached the outskirts, the scenery shifted dramatically. The familiar cobblestones gave way to tangled woods shrouded in mist, and the air grew heavy with an ethereal chill. The entrance to the vale was marked by an ancient archway carved from twisting branches, darkened with age and adorned with cryptic runes. A faint light flickered beyond a gateway, shimmering like a ripple in a still pond. Seraphina stepped forward, placing the silver lyre and harp carefully upon a stone altar etched with similar runes. As she played a delicate, haunting melody, the runes flared to life, casting dancing shadows that wove through the mist. Eleanor felt the melody resonate deep inside her, unlocking memories she hadn't known. She held fragments of dreams, moments of clarity, and shadows of doubt. The archway pulsed, and with a breath that seemed to carry the weight of centuries, the veil parted. Stepping through, the world shifted. The forest behind them faded into ghostly silhouettes, and they found themselves standing on a vast plain under a sky swirling with stars unknown to any earthly constellation. This was the realm beyond the veil, an endless expanse suspended between worlds, where time and space wavered like a mirage. The ground beneath their feet sparkled like glass, reflecting an impossible array of colors. Strange whispers floated on the breeze, half-formed words in languages both familiar and alien. Before them appeared a figure draped in flowing robes of starlight, eyes glowing with ancient wisdom. "I am Elendra, guardian of the veil," the figure intoned. "Few mortals step beyond this boundary and live to tell the tale. Your quest tests not just your strength, but your understanding of the balance between light and shadow." Eleanor stepped forward, steadying her voice. "We seek the next instrument to unlock the secrets of the Whispering Library and protect knowledge from falling into darkness." Elendra's gaze softened. "Then you must face the trial of reflection." The trio found themselves surrounded by pools of shimmering water, each surface like a mirror showing glimpses of themselves yet twisted and distorted. As they gazed, their reflections began to move independently, revealing fears and desires they had kept hidden. Eleanor's reflection spoke first, its voice laced with sorrow. "You run from your past, afraid to confront the mistakes that haunt you." Tears welled in Eleanor's eyes, but she stood firm. "I cannot change the past, but I can learn from it." Seraphina's reflection sneered. "You fear betrayal so deeply that you close yourself off." Seraphina's voice trembled but resolute. "Trust is a risk, but one worth taking." Adrian's reflection challenged him fiercely. "Your loyalty is your weakness, your secrets will be your undoing." Adrian clenched his fists. "My loyalty is my strength, and my secrets make me who I am." Elendra nodded approvingly. "To pass, you must harmonize not only with the melody outside but also the music within. Accept yourselves fully, with all your flaws and virtues." Together, they sang softly at first, then building in confidence a harmony born of truth and acceptance. The pools around them rippled and merged into a radiant light that lifted the veil's veil further. From the glowing mist emerged a beautiful, ancient harp carved from celestial wood, the fourth instrument, known as the Harp of Lumina. As Eleanor reached to claim it, the whispers turned to a roar. Shadows gathered at the edges of the realm, coalescing into dark forms with burning eyes. Elendra raised her hands, chanting words that shaped the very fabric of the veil into a shield around the trio. The shadow forms hesitated, then lunged. A fierce battle ensued, not just of strength but of will and spirit. Eleanor, Seraphina, and Adrian fought in harmony, their voices and instruments weaving a song that pushed back the darkness, sealing the shadows away with notes of light. Breathless but victorious, the trio stood among the fading stars, the harp of Lumina glowing warmly in their hands. Elindra's voice was a gentle echo. Remember, the path you walk is fraught with peril, but also with hope. The melody of your journey will shape the fate of worlds. As the veil shimmered closed behind them, Eleanor felt the weight of destiny settle firmly on her soul. Their quest was far from over and the true song had only just begun. The dawnlight barely brushed the horizon when Eleanor, Seraphina, and Adrian returned from the veil, each clutching their newly acquired instrument. The city of Eldermoor awoke unaware of the monumental forces converging beneath its ancient stones. Yet, in the depths of their hearts, the trio knew their journey was spiraling towards a crescendo, a symphony of hope and peril intertwined. The whispering library awaited them, its towering silhouette stark against the awakening sky. Inside its labyrinthine halls, the manuscripts seemed to pulse in rhythm with the instruments' harmonies. The melody guiding them was no longer just a song, it was a living force, threading through the fabric of time and destiny. Seraphina unfurled the glowing map, now complete with 4 radiant points marking the instruments' locations. The final realms lie beyond the shattered horizon, a place where reality fractures and the past bleeds into the present. Adrian's jaw clenched. We faced trials of spirit and shadow. But what lies beyond might unravel everything. Eleanor's eyes shimmered with resolve. Then we must be ready. Whatever awaits, the harmony we build will be our shield. Their preparations were interrupted by an urgent knock echoing through the library's great hall. From the shadows emerged an elderly scholar draped in midnight robes, eyes sharp and wary. "I am Alaric, keeper of forgotten lore," he introduced himself. "I have watched your journey with keen interest." He stepped closer, placing a weathered tome on the marble floor. "There is a prophecy of seekers who would wield the instruments to restore balance or sow chaos. But beware the discordant one, a force born of greed and despair, seeking to claim the instruments for himself." A cold chill ran down Eleanor's spine. "Who is this discordant one?" Alaric's gaze darkened. "A fallen guardian, once protector of the library, now twisted by power. His shadow spreads like a plague, corrupting realms and minds alike." Seraphina's fingers tightened around the harp's frame. "Then he will stop at nothing to silence us." Alaric nodded gravely. "You must act swiftly. The shattered horizon holds the final key but also the greatest danger." Determined, the trio gathered their instruments and stepped toward the library's ancient gates. As they crossed threshold after threshold, the walls seemed to hum with anticipation, resonating with the melodies they carried. Upon reaching the outer courtyard, an unnatural storm roared overhead, swirling with purple and black clouds that cracked with violet lightning. The air was thick with tension. A spectral figure appeared at the courtyard's center, tall, clad in shadow, eyes glowing a fierce red. "You trespass on my domain," the figure's voice boomed. "I am Malachi, the discordant one, and I will claim what is rightfully mine." The battle erupted like thunder. Malachi summoned waves of discordant energy, warping reality, and distorting sound. Eleanor and her companions fought desperately, their instruments singing in counterpoint, weaving a shield of harmony against his destructive onslaught. Each strike pushed them to the edge, memories of loss, fear, and doubt surfacing, threatening to break their will. Yet, through the crescendo of music and courage, they stood united. Eleanor lifted the crystal voice, its radiant song piercing through the chaos, shattering the shadows surrounding Malachi. With a final cry, the discordant one faltered, his form dissipating into a mist of broken notes and fading darkness. Silence fell. The storm ceased, revealing a dawn bathed in golden light. Exhausted but victorious, the trio stood amid the quiet library grounds, instruments glowing softly in the new day. The prophecy's burden was lifted for now. Eleanor looked to Seraphina and Adrian, her voice steady. "Our journey has forged a bond beyond music, beyond time. The harmony we protect is the world itself." Seraphina smiled softly. "And the melody continues. In every heart willing to listen." Adrian nodded. "Together, we'll guard this song forever." As the first rays of sun warmed the whispering library, Eleanor felt a peace she had never known. Their symphony was eternal. The victory over Malachi had brought a fragile peace, but deep within the whispering library, the air hummed with restless energy. Eleanor could feel it, a whisper beneath the silence, an echo from a forgotten song waiting to be heard. One evening, as the sun dipped behind Elder Moor's rooftops, Eleanor sat alone in the library's oldest chamber. Dust motes danced in the golden light filtering through stained glass, and the instruments lay beside her, their surfaces shimmering faintly. Her fingers brushed the strings of the harp of Lumina, and a soft vibration thrummed through the room. Suddenly, the map, now glowing with all its points, shifted, revealing a new, hidden location marked by an unfamiliar symbol. Seraphina and Adrian arrived just as Eleanor traced the symbol with awe. "This wasn't here before," Seraphina murmured, her brow furrowed. "The map is changing. Evolving." Adrian's expression darkened. "It means our journey isn't over. Something else stirs." Together, they studied the new location, a desolate island shrouded in mist far beyond Elder Moor's reach. The island was known only in legends as the Silent Isle, a place said to hold the library's original founding melody, the source of all knowledge and magic. But the melody had been lost for centuries, its notes scattered like stardust across realms. To find it would mean venturing beyond the known world, into a realm where dreams and reality intertwined. Before they could prepare, a sudden chill swept through the chamber. From the shadows stepped a mysterious figure cloaked in midnight blue, face obscured by a veil of silver threads. "I have come with a warning," the figure said, voice both gentle and commanding. "The Silent Isle is guarded by the Echo's spirits born of forgotten knowledge, bound to test those who seek the original melody." Eleanor's heart pounded. What kind of test? The figure smiled enigmatically. They reflect your deepest fears and truths. Only those who face them and embrace their own stories can claim the melody's power. As the figure turned to leave, Eleanor called after them. Who are you? Call me Lyric, the figure replied. And I am both your guide and your challenge. With little time to lose, the trio prepared to journey beyond Elder Moor, armed with instruments and courage, ready to confront the echoes and reclaim the melody that could shape the fate of all worlds. The voyage to the Silent Isle had been arduous and mystical. Eleanor, Seraphina, and Adrian crossed veils of mist and realms woven from stardust and memory, their instruments glowing with the combined power of their journey. Guided by Lyric, the enigmatic figure whose true nature seemed woven from both shadow and song, they stood at the threshold of a forgotten sanctuary nestled within the island's heart. The island was alive with whispers, the echoes of knowledge lost, murmuring in languages forgotten by time. As they stepped into the ancient amphitheater carved from moonstone, the very air thrummed with anticipation. Before them, a dais rose, adorned with the fragmented remains of a grand musical score, the original melody. Lyric's voice broke the silence. This is where the harmony begins anew. To restore the original melody, you must unite your hearts and souls, weaving your journeys, your pain, and your hope into a song that transcends time. Eleanor lifted the silver lyre, its strings gleaming like threads of light. Seraphina clasped the harp of Lumina, its notes shimmering with celestial grace. Adrian held the crystal voice and ancient harp, their energies intertwining like rivers converging. Together, they began to play their instruments, weaving a symphony that spoke of battles fought, fears faced, friendships forged, and dreams rekindled. The music carried the weight of their quest, echoing across the Silent Isle, weaving through the very fabric of reality. As the last note soared into eternity, the scattered fragments of the musical score lifted and swirled, reassembling into a radiant tapestry that bathed the sanctuary in golden light. The original melody was reborn. A wave of energy rippled through the realms, healing fractures and silencing shadows. The whispering library glowed with renewed power, its secrets safe once more. Eleanor felt tears streaming down her face, not of sorrow, but of profound peace. Lyric smiled, her veil lifting to reveal eyes shimmering like galaxies. You have done what many could not. The melody you have woven will echo through all worlds, a beacon of hope and harmony. As dawn broke over Elder Moor, the city awoke to a world subtly changed, lighter, fuller of promise. The trio returned to the library, their bond stronger than ever, their souls forever entwined with the music of the ages. Eleanor looked to her friends and whispered, "Our journey ends, but the song never will. It lives in every heart willing to listen." And with that, the three guardians of harmony embraced the endless symphony of life, their story a timeless melody echoing beyond the stars. Title: The Whispering Library, Symphony of Shadows. Description: In the ancient city of Elder Moor lies the Whispering Library, a place where secrets linger in every shadow and music holds the key to forgotten realms. Follow Eleanor Vale, Seraphina, and Adrian on a perilous journey to awaken the instruments of power, unravel hidden melodies, and confront the dark force known as the Discordant One. From haunting recitals beneath vaulted ceilings to cosmic trials beyond the veil between worlds, this epic tale weaves a symphony of courage, friendship, and sacrifice. Will they restore the original melody and protect the fragile balance of knowledge, or will shadows silence the song forever? Join the adventure in the Whispering Library, Symphony of Shadows, a fantasy saga where music and mystery intertwine in a battle for destiny.